built this monument. It may not be this one, but it was at least an acknowledgement of some of the cruelties and some of the good that can come out of the many, many wars that some of you have been in and some of you may still be in. Never give up. If I've got a message to the military men, if you get in a battle, have a buddy that you can trust. Someone that can watch your back. I had the best buddy, and that's why I'm here. My father was here, and he kind of kept a young man in check to keep me from doing, although he didn't always proceed, to keep me in check for doing something stupid. And I did something stupid, and I was punished for it. And I could tell you a million stories about that, but I don't have time, and I'll not ask you to have to sit and listen. I dislike the Japanese people when I left here, and maybe you can understand that. Until I got to thinking about the little Japanese woman. When my father and I was working on a project, and she came by in the middle of the winter here in late March with ice on the ground, cold, starved to death. And as she went by, she stopped and looked at us. The guard was there. We always had a guard. So she went and came back a few minutes later. When the guard wasn't watching, she dropped 2 cooked sweet potatoes on the ground so we could grab it and stick it in our shirt. When I got back, we got back to the barracks that night, we ate the sweet potatoes. And I have never in my life before or since tasted a candy bar that tasted as sweet as that. Now, how can you hate a person like that? Or many instances of the Japanese that were not a part of what went on here. So I learned, fortunately, quickly to understand that Japanese, Americans, Chinese, whatever name, or color, there's some bad in it, all of us, and there's some good in all of us. And hopefully some of what we hear going on now in the war, in possibilities of war, doesn't happen. And that I can pray to. I have a poem, if you'll bear with me, that I think's appropriate for this occasion. Excuse me for having to look, but one eye is not working. The soldier stood and faced his God, which must always come to pass. He hoped his shoes were shining as brightly as his brass. Step forward now, you soldier. How shall I deal with you? Have you always turned the other cheek? To my church have you been true? The soldier squared his shoulders and said, no, Lord, I guess I ain't. Because of us who carry guns can't always be a saint. I've had to work most Sundays, and at times my talk was tough. And sometimes I've been violent, because the world is very rough. But I never took a penny that was not mine to keep. I worked a lot of overtime, then the bills just got too steep. But I never missed a cry for help, though at times I shook with fear. And sometimes, God, forgive me, I've wept unmanly tears. If you've a place for me, O Lord, it needn't be so grand. I never expected too much of you, but if you don't, I'll understand. There was a silence all around the throne, where the saints had often trod, as the soldier waited quietly for the judgment of his God. Step forward now, you soldier. You've borne your burdens well. Walk peacefully on heaven's streets. You served your time in hell. Thank you. I appreciate you being here and hope to come back. Oh, I could tell you, I like to tell you to keep a little sense of humor. When I got back from Japan, the doctors cut half my stomach out. They took my appendix out. They took my gallbladder out. They put a pacer in. They took my teeth out. I'm blind in one eye. And then they weren't satisfied. They turned me over and did a coloscopy on my rear end. So, being as old as I am, I went to God and I said, God, when are you going to take me? And he said, well, I'll have to think about it. I never built a place for half a man. So I turned to the devil and said, devil, are you going to take me? He said, you spent 18 months in hell and you escaped, and I don't want you back. So there's no use of going to Congress because they can't make their mind up on anything. And I think I'll go get a jug of sake and just create a little hell on my own.